Good afternoon, Cross Timbers. Today is Wednesday, March 6, 2013. This is Texan TV News from the Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville, Texas, and I'm Pegues. In today's headlines, Tarleton's men's basketball team heads to the Lone Star Conference Championship. Poet Marilyn Nelson visits campus. 2 candidates filed for a chance at the empty mayor's seat in Glen Rose. Texas Senate Education Panel hears details on the proposal to stop teaching sex education. President Hugo Chavez of Caracas, Venezuela dies, and India's Patent Appeals Office has rejected Bayer's AG's plea to stop the production of a cheaper generic version of a patent cancer drug. And now for today's top stories. The Tarleton men's basketball team leaves today for the Lone Star Conference Championship tournament in a win-or-go-home scenario. Kate Murphy sat down with John Caffey Macklin and Chuck Guy, 2 of the team's members, and asked them a few questions.
How does it feel to represent Tarleton for the basketball team? How do you feel to represent Tarleton in that way?
It feels good. It feels really good. We had started very slow. We finally got a good seed in the tournament.
How does it feel to be representing Tarleton in this way?
It feels good to be. Feels good to be going to the conference tournament because some people we started off a little slow earlier this season, and some teams in the conference didn't even make it to this far. They didn't even make it to the tournament. So it's always good to go play for this conference championship. So yeah, it's big. It's fun.
Okay. How confident do you and your team feel going into this championship game, being that you've already played this team and you have one loss and 1 win? How confident do y'all feel going into this game?
We're pretty confident about the game, but like we can't just slack on them because we split 1-1, and like every game, we split 1-1, and like every game of this conference tournament is gonna be hard because everyone wants to play for the championship, and it's not just gonna be easy. So we just gotta play as hard as we can, not think about the last game that happened, but focus on this one.
Right. Okay. How would it feel for you and for your team to bring home this championship?
It'd be big. For us to actually bring home one, it'll be big. Yeah, it'll be like, cause some people we got one senior on this team, and we want to go out with him leaving with something good on him.
The game will be tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. at Allen Event Center. Also in campus news, prominent poet Marilyn Nelson came to the campus to do a poetry reading from a book Faster Than Light to students last night in the Humanities Building. The following is an excerpt of her presentation.
So I'm going to read some poems. I wrote a book about them. There's lots of children's books about Prudence Crandall, but nobody had paid too much attention to these girls who came. They were between the ages of about 12 and 17. They came alone on stagecoaches to go to school. And Elizabeth Alexander, who was the poet who read the poem at President Obama's first inaugural, she teaches at Yale. So she and I got together and wrote a book about the girl, in the voices of the girls of this school. This is a very long introduction, I'm sorry. So I'm going to read some of these Prudence Crandall. We're just imagining the girls, who they were, what they came from, and what they discovered when they got to the school. This one is called The Book. Jolted, insensible, mile upon mile, a thin, high-breasted, slow-eyed yellow girl. Deferential, but wearing the latest style of Paris bonnet, from which one brown curl has broken free and frolics below her jaw. All the stagecoach ride from Philadelphia, she has followed the beckoning finger of destiny toward the place where she'll shoulder the burden of being free. I shall learn, I shall teach. The book in her small gloved hands hasn't seemed a Bible to the inquisitive eyes of her fellow travelers. Almost memorized, it comforts her as she watches the changing lands. A friend to travel with into this chance to bridge for her people the abyss of ignorance.
In Glen Rose news, the deadline to run for a spot in office on May 11th ballots is coming up quick, and candidates headed straight for the town hall. The filing term ended last Friday, and the Glen Rose City Council ballot was full. 2 of the candidates filed for a chance to run for the empty mayor's seat, and 4 candidates applied for the 2 city council openings. Current council members, Dennis Moore was the first candidate to put in for a place on the ballot. But instead of wanting another term in his current seat, he is now looking to fill the mayor's position. The race became a challenging one after Eric Bellinger filed to run for a spot on the ballot last week. Bellinger, raised in a military family, believes that the city will be at a high advantage from those ideals. One idea Bellinger has for bringing the city back to life is offering a break to business owners. Early voting begins April 29th. And now for today's Texas national and international news from the Associated Press. In Texas news, yesterday a Texas Senate Education panel heard details on a proposal to stop organizations linked with abortion providers from teaching sex education in public schools. Senator Ken Paxton, held by abortion opponents, says it would keep Planned Parenthood programming out of the Texas classrooms. The proposal would also insist on school districts to receive parental consent before permitting any outside experts to teach sex education. Sarah Wheat, director of the Planned Parenthood of Greater Texas, said the state law demands that all sex education programs have to promote abstinence regardless of who's teaching them. The proposal is the most recent move in Texas' continuing fight against Planned Parenthood. And in the national news, according to the Associated Press, the Venezuelan president Hugo Chavez of Caracas died yesterday at 4:25 p.m. The cause of the death has not yet been revealed. However, the government has said a severe new respiratory infection has severely weakened him. Vice President Nicolas Maduro's announced Chavez had died after battling hard against the illness over nearly 2 years. It was reported he broke out in tears during the announcement. Chavez had led the nation for 14 consecutive years, also in international news from the Associated Press. India's Patent Appeals Office has rejected Bayer's AG's pleas to stop the production of a cheaper generic version of a patent cancer drug in a ruling that health groups say is an important precedent for getting inexpensive life-saving medicines to the poor. Last year, India's patent office allowed local drug manufacturer Natco Pharma Limited to produce a generic version of Bayer's kidney and liver cancer drug, Nexivar, on the grounds it would make the drug available to the public at a reasonably affordable price. It was the first use of the compulsory licensing under Indian patent laws passed in 2005. Meanwhile, Swiss drug maker Novartis AG is awaiting a decision by India's Supreme Court on the rejection of the patent for its cancer drug Gleevec. The case revolves around a different legal provision allowing India to block evergreening extensions of patents based on minor changes to existing treatment. The Supreme Court's ruling on the case is expected soon. Weather forecast from the weatherchannel.com. Today's forecast calls for a high of 61 degrees with a low of 37 degrees under clear skies. Tomorrow is expected to see a high of 73 degrees and a low of 50. Today's broadcast was produced by Kate Murphy, Kelly Rumsey, Laura Jokel, Rachel Peoples, Alyssa Wynn, and Ian Trobe. You can follow the Texan News Service on Facebook and Twitter and check out our website at www.texannews.net. I am Pegues. Tune in tomorrow for the latest news from the Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville.